Alright, hopefully I've got this figured out correctly. I'm going to do some wedding editing and culling for you guys to watch for your amusement. Not doing anything particularly special, I'm just going to go through my normal routine. And as people jump into the Hangout, you can go ahead and ask questions if you would like. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I can still see the Hangouts here. Okay, so this is PhotoMechanic. It's what I use to initially cull images before I edit them because I don't want to waste my time editing images that I'm going to end up not using. So, just to warm up while I'm waiting for other people to come in, I'm just going to open up this creative shoot that I did with some other photographers and a few models. Instead of the wedding, I'm going to be doing in a little bit here. So, I think this is the correct folder. Creative shoot. Oh, no, it's April. Hello. So, I just double click on the folder. PhotoMechanic will load the raw images. Alright, so I can see here as I scroll through the thumbnails of all of my images. Sorry, hold on one second. I'm still figuring out what I'm doing here. Oh no, I'm on the screen. Ah. Okay, so I have here the thumbnails of the images. What I typically like to do is start with the first image, double click on it to open it larger, and then I will be able to quickly run through and give it a star rating. If you look here on the lower right, there's this little box that will show my star rating. Sorry, it's on the left. My directions are bad. That'll show my star rating once I've rated them. The idea is once I give a star rating to each image and then I pull it in Lightroom, I can sort those images by the rating that I gave it. So in my case, I like to use star rating of 5 for amazing, off-the-top, epic images that I absolutely love. 4 is for really great images, 3 stars for good images, 2 for passable, and 1 for throwaway. At the beginning of this shoot, I was playing around a lot with my new umbrella, which is the point of why I did this shoot. Instead of practicing on a client, I like to practice with my new gear on friends or photographers. So this image is a throwaway, throwaway, ooh, throwaway, 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 throwaway. Okay, so now we're getting into okay images. That one's passable, throwaway, throwaway, passable, passable, although I love that I totally didn't notice this plant behind her, throwaway, etc., etc. As I'm going, if I X out, you can see the star images, or the stars on each image now, as I'm going through. And in fact, if I wanted to, I could actually just make these thumbnails bigger and rate like this, which actually might be beneficial for you guys. So then you can see better what I'm doing. Come on, PhotoMechanic, you can do it. My computer is throwing a hissy fit because I'm trying to run too many programs at one time, which is all your guys' fault because I'm doing the Hangout. Okay, so we can see the ratings that I've given so far on these particular images. Wow, it's really having a hard time. It's really interesting. Okay. Throw away, throw away, throw away. Keep, throw away. I don't know why I posed her in this bush. This is just awful. I'm going to throw away all of those. That one's okay. That's... You can see that as I rate them, it automatically goes to the next image. That's something that you can turn on in PhotoMechanic. I prefer it because I'm too lazy to stop and hit another button. One of the other things that I really like about PhotoMechanic is that I can quickly zoom in to check focus. If I press Z, I'm zoomed in. Focus is a touch off here, so I'm going to reject it. This one's a little better. I'm going to keep that one. I actually like this one better. I can actually flip back and forth by using the left and right keys. I definitely like the second one better, so I'm going to change this one to 1 star and give this one 2 stars. Nope. 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 I like this one, and I think it is correctly in focus, or close to. I like the second one a tiny bit better. I don't feel like that's a good one. I like that one and that one. I don't like that one. Nope. Yep, I like this one. That one's okay. These two are brother and sister, so they're a little bit crazy together. There we go. Nope, nope. Oh, no. The lighting was terrible. That one's okay. I'm not going to keep it. Just not good lighting there. Oh, that one's cute. Nope. I don't think this one's in focus. Nope, not in focus. Yeah. So I got this new parabolic umbrella, and it's really huge, and I like it, and so I've been trying to practice with using my strobe. I'm very well practiced with speed lights, but I'd like to be able to have a strobe for larger wedding parties and stuff. So a lot of what I was doing here was practicing with it, and I've since discovered that I really need to get an ND filter. Otherwise, it just looks really gross because I have to shoot it like f5, which is very much not my style. That one's okay. Okay. That one's soft. Some other photographers were posing some of these shots too, so some of them are a little bit different than my normal style, which is fine. Love this. I think this is with the either the 100 or the 135. Let me see if it's listed. Oh, I forgot. So with PhotoMechanic, if I want to see how I use the lens, what lens I used, I can right-click and it'll show all the information here. Yep, 135. That's some amazing bokeh. Nope. Maybe. That's okay, kind of boring. That's okay, okay. Oh, that's better. Okay, go back. So we'll eject that one and keep that one. Keep. Definitely keeping that one. This girl's a friend of mine. I'm going to use that one for blackmail. That one's okay, but this one's better. That one's okay. 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 Ah, that little bit of sunlight right there. I can't accept it. That one's kind of soft. There we go. I think I got better looks on her face for this pose. Yep, that's a little bit better. Yep, yep. No, yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. This kid is styling, y'all. Yes. Yes. Oh, you know what? I actually gonna reject that one and keep this one. Oh, that one's kind of out of focus. There we go. Yes. Yes. I actually like this one better. Yes. No. No. Yes. No. Yes. That's kind of a fake smile. I don't know what his hand is doing here. That's a little better. Ooh, I like the first one. It's not quite in focus. I'm gonna see if I can save it with some sharpening. Yes, yes. Well, no, yes. I'm trying really hard not to save two images that are both similar. Like, it's okay, I don't need two of the exact same thing. Calm down, Heather. I like this one better. It's a little out of focus. I actually really like this one. It was a mistake. I underexposed it. It's really kind of moody, and I'm wondering if I bring it up in Lightroom and do black and white, that might look actually really nice. I like that one. You can see here all of a sudden I decided to change my white balance for no apparent reason, which doesn't really matter all that much in RAW, especially since all these images are pretty uniform. I was trying to get fancy with it, y'all. Well, that one's okay. I'm not a huge fan of this location. The sun was just not great. Once again, another pose that probably looked great from another angle, but just wasn't really working from where I was at. That one's okay. That one's okay. Oh, where's her face? There it is. Nope, too far into the frame. I don't feel like this one's composed very well. This one's alright. I should have bent her arm a little bit. Oh, yeah, there we go. See? Unfortunately, they were both not turning out very well. This one's okay. Right about this time, there was a teenage boy that walked by and just stopped and started staring, and just sat there staring, so we ended up having to just pack up and move to a different location because the model was getting a little weirded out. I'm not sure I like the hand placement here. It's a little bit too close to the crotch area, and it's a little uncomfortable. I might crop that in. That's a little better. Are these both in focus? Let's see. Yes, okay. Blown out. Yeah. His serious face. I really don't need two of these. Which one's better? This one. This one. Nope. Okay. And then these last two shots at the end were just to show some lighting differences. So this shot here is an example of just direct sunlight. This shot, we're in the exact same location. I did change my settings a little bit to accompany it, but basically what I did is just had an assistant hold my parabolic umbrella in between my subject and the sun. Obviously a huge, huge difference. So I just took that shot because I planned on using that in a group that was discussing lighting. So now I've gone through and culled all of those images. I think there was about 380 in there. What I'm going to do is create a new folder for my rejected files, which I do keep for a little while after the session or wedding. I'm going to sort by the rating that I gave them and pull all the rejected images. If PhotoMechanic can keep up with me, come on, darling, you can do it. It's having a really hard time. It's hard, you guys. Okay. And I will pull all of those images that were rejected. Oh, really? I keep hitting my caps lock button. I'm an idiot. What I'm attempting to do is hold down Control as I select to select all the images at once that I have 1 star. There we go. And then I will drag them into the rejected folder. Okay. So that is one session called. I'm going to stop for just a second and check the group that I posted the link to this recording in, just in case anybody has any questions. Judy Dawson asks, I've never done the ratings thing. Is that just a way of culling them? Yes, it is. That's how I like to rate things, to be able to quickly go back through them if I need to, especially with a wedding where it actually might make a difference between 2 stars or 4 stars, etc. The nice thing is that that works with Lightroom. So when I pull these into Lightroom, Lightroom will register that rating as well. Also, if you have a camera that's capable of adding a star rating, like I use the 5D Mark III, if you rate a picture in camera, that will show up in PhotoMechanic and in Lightroom as well. So for example, if I really quickly rate 3 or 4 pictures in my camera, when I get home from the wedding, I can just download those few images to edit them extremely quickly and post them before I go to bed without having to sit there and wait for the whole memory card to download. I'm going to go to the Google Hangouts page here and see if everything's going okay. I'm not really used to the Google Hangouts thing, so I'm trying to figure out how to use it. Whoa, okay. Wow, that's a little creepy. Okay. So now I'm doing the full screen. For me, it shows like an endless mirror of the full screen, which is a little bit creepy, but that's okay. Now I am going to go in and call a wedding that I did this Saturday. Exciting times, I know. Calm down, everybody. Calm down. I have not, other than in my camera, I have not looked at these images at all, so this should be exciting. PhotoMechanic will probably take a couple of seconds to pull up the images because there is going to be a ridiculous amount of them. I will check for questions. Where am I? Right here. Waiting. Half of our life is waiting, isn't it? So exciting. It says it's not responding, but most of the time when it says that, it just means that it needs a couple of minutes. I'm actually going to shut down Lightroom to give it some more space to breathe. In the meantime, I hope that if you guys have questions, you know how to ask them. Let me see if the chat is on. I think it is. I see that there's 4 viewers, so there's at least some of you guys. Hi, guys! I think you should be able to automatically participate in chat if you need to, and I think it will ding me when you do. So if you have questions, or if you want to be awesome and just test the chat for me so that I know that it's working, you're welcome to do that. I think it should automatically allow you to, so. Can you guys see the chat? Everybody's like, shut up and edit! Okay, it looks like it is loaded, so I'm going to go back to screen sharing with you guys. Whoa, what'd I do? Ah! You guys, I really suck at this. Like, I'm not even lying. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Okay. Screen share. PhotoMechanic. Okay. We're back! So once again I'm in PhotoMechanic. I'm going to minimize it just a little bit more just so I can see the group chat. There we go. Okay. let's do this thing. So these were images that I took in the beginning of the day just to kind of get my, make sure my memory cards were functioning and all that good stuff. So I'm just going to automatically delete these because they were useless pictures of a bowl on my table. I can just hit delete right in PhotoMechanic and move it right to the recycle bin. In the beginning of the day, I met with my husband and I went early to the location to scout lighting and to decide what I wanted to do for some of the pictures. Sorry guys, hold on one second. I'm distracted because someone was asking a question on the Facebook page. Some people are asking me how to get into the Google Hangout page, and I actually don't know. So I'm trying to look around and see if there's anything that's super obvious that I'm missing. I don't think I can directly add people, so sorry guys. Let me try this. I'm adding a link in the Facebook group for you guys so that you can try to join the direct hangout. Hopefully that'll work because that's something that I know how to do. But anyway, back to the editing. So my husband and I went early to the location to be able to scout out the lighting and stuff like that. And it's a good thing that we did because it was hideous. And I ended up walking all over this park. They wanted to start and do their first look at 12 noon, which is, you know, awful because there was no clouds. And it was one of those parks that's like a big square with grass. So the shade was pretty much non-existent. So all of these are throwaway images, but I'm still going to keep them on my computer just so I have a reference for lighting for this park again. As you can see, I tried out different locations. This was the initial location I was thinking of when I thought that it was going to be cloudy that day, because it was kind of a pretty place. Around the other side is a bunch of stairs. It would have been really nice, but it's just this nuclear blast of light. It just would not have worked. I also tried backlighting, but it's just so strong. I would have lost most of the tops of people's heads, and the light leak over the shoulders just really drive me crazy. Even with a darker object, this tree was huge right behind them, but the shadow it was casting was barely a foot. So there's just no way. I was going to have groups with, you know, as many as 5 or 6 people, and I just couldn't fit them all in that little space. So I was playing around with all of that, and finally I decided, well, after scouting out some locations, what if I had my husband hold my umbrella? So here's the groom. He had met us there early. I was doing some test shots, and I was just hating the light leak on his shoulders. I mean, you can kind of edit it, but there's just no getting around that. I would have lost the top of his head completely. The groom knows my husband, so they had to get he jumped under the umbrella with him. So these were shots where I was trying my darndest to just get him in some kind of shade, and it just was not working out very well. But even in the shade of the tree, the lighting was just not very great. He's such a goofball. But once I started doing the umbrella trick, so this is in an area where my husband is holding the umbrella over the groom, and it was much better. So for example, after all of these, this is after we started using the parabolic umbrella, and you can just see how everything is much more evened out. And then the bride was coming up, so I'm trying to meet her for the bride and meet her for the groom, and my camera is like, what's the matter with you? So I got the bride placed a little ways away because I didn't want to move my husband's umbrella, my husband with the umbrella, because the bride was coming to us. This shot of the bride is not great. Not proud of it, but it is what it is. As she got closer, she was under that nice even shade from the parabolic. You can tell a huge difference from how it used to be in the other shots, which is great. I was really worried that we were, hi Julie, I was really worried that that was going to just continue to be a problem, but parabolic umbrellas, y'all, they're huge. So as I'm going through, I'm giving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star ratings. Most of these are just going to be passable images. I kind of like this one better. It's okay. I got into place for the first look. Always, always, always plan for which way the groom is going to turn so that the bride is not blocking his face, because the whole point of the first look from a photographic standpoint is to capture his face. So that worked out great. He is not a hugely emotional person, but I can tell you from this look on his face that he was very touched to see her. He was tearing up a little bit, which for this particular groom, excuse me, is saying a lot. That one's just a touch out of focus. I think I like that one better anyway. Let me see. I think I'll skip that one. I do like that one. Immediately after the first look, I really try to give my couples a few seconds together. I may walk around them to get a few images candidly, but other than that, I'm gonna walk away and give them some time to just be together for a second. So this is from a little bit of a distance after I gave a few minutes to kind of just talk and everything. You aren't authorized to start this video. Sorry, Maria, I don't know how to fix it, but if you go to that second link, it should allow you to join it. I don't know, I'm sorry. Otherwise, you can just watch on the YouTube link, I guess. I'll figure it out as I go. So this, again, is that backlit situation. This is the best that you're going to hope for without modifying the light in some way. As you can see, the dress is pretty much blown out on the edges. I still like one or two of these shots. It's a nice... It's an okay shot, and especially for them, this is the location that they first saw each other and all that. But you can see how they're all squinty, and it's just not ideal. So I certainly wouldn't have done all of the pictures here, but I do like this one. Is okay. Just playing around with different compositions. That one's okay. The bride had thankfully gotten some lensless glasses, so that was very nice. I'm going to zoom in and do a flip between these two. I think I kind of like the second one better. Oh, I definitely like that one better. Okay. I think that one's a better focus. Okay, so this is again under the parabolic umbrella. I had my husband standing Mary Poppins style with the umbrella over them, which was actually really funny. But thank goodness I had him with me, because that would have been really hard without him. Some real close-up intimate shots here. Is that one in focus? So as you can see, I was trying to get this situation figured out. You can kind of see my husband with the reflector up here, which is really funny to me. But this location is really, really, really pretty when it's not dead, which it was at this time. But I felt like I could still get a few shots that would be really pretty. The lighting was, again, fighting it at return, but that's all right. As you can see, once I kind of lightened up a little bit, let in more light, it really just became bokeh in the background, so it's not noticeable. Really wish I would have had her close her fingers a little bit in that shot. Oh well. These are a little bit too bokeh-ish. I like this because I wanted to show off the back of the dress. Obviously this blue thing in the background is going to have to go, but it's fairly simple to edit. I kind of like this one, but I feel like the point of the back of the dress is a little bit lost. I don't know. I'll keep it for now. I can always continue to cull later in Lightroom, but I'm really trying to do the majority of it in PhotoMechanic these days, because otherwise I have this compulsion to edit everything. And when you're editing like hundreds of pictures that you don't intend on keeping, that's just a huge waste of time. That one's better. And that one's better. Out here, while we were waiting for family and friends and the bridal party to walk up, I was just mostly metering off the skins of these people. I wasn't trying to actually get a quick shot. I was just trying to test and see if the sun was any more forgiving from the back, and it really just wasn't. As you can see, their shoulders are just completely blown out, which is fine if you're an adorable little flower girl, but not for anybody else. I also tested that same area by the tree. It just didn't work out. So I decided to do the formal pictures again with the parabolic umbrella. Now, unfortunately, that meant that my husband had to be the one with the step stool because he needed the height to be able to cover everyone. Typically, I don't like shooting upward into people's faces. This was just one of those situations where it was kind of the lesser of two evils. So I'm not going to worry about it all too much. For some of the shots, I did use the live view on my camera to hold my camera over my head to shoot, but you can't really do that for all the shots. It would just take too long to try to find focus. So these are not my proudest moments, but they're okay. And the lighting is so much better. And that's really what's going to be the biggest thing that can detract from a shot. So, ooh, what did I do there? I really blew that one out. Good job, Heather. Clearly I wasn't paying attention. There we go. That one's okay. So for these ones, I'm mostly just checking focus. I'm checking expression. If there's one where they all have their eyes open and they all have a pleasant expression, then that's the one that's going to get saved. Sometimes I'll save two of them just to flip through, back and forth through later, but I try not to go overkill on it because it's really easy to try to keep way too many formal pictures. It just can get a little bit out of control. So checking the eyes, making sure all of that is looking good, and it is. Whoops. I kind of like this one better. And that one's a little better. Oh, not in focus though. I also, as I'm shooting a wedding, will be constantly checking focus using the live view on the back of my camera. When I'm waiting for new people to come and walk up, I'm zooming in at 100% just to check. Mostly because I've heard way too many stories of people shooting and they find out afterward while they're editing that there was a malfunction in their lens and everything is like out of focus. And I just cannot imagine having to go to a bride and say, hey, all those pictures with your family are totally unsavable, sorry. That's just not going to cut it. So I definitely try to go through and make sure that they're all reasonably in focus, and that I have at least one shot of everybody looking at the camera and one shot of everybody with their eyes open. Obviously, I can head swap if I need to, but if somebody blinked in every shot, that's going to be a problem. So, this groom is a little squinty. That's lovely. That one says eyes are a little bit closed, but I can steal his eyes from another picture, I guess, if I need to. There we go. That's a better one. And eyes are closed. It was so bright out, especially with the sidewalk and everything. It was just, everything was getting bombed. There we go. The other thing was it was really windy, of course. So my poor husband holding the parabolic umbrella and the extra family member that was also holding my diffuser at the edge of this group to make sure that everybody was covered were just blowing around everywhere. Poor things. It was just kind of chaos. But we got it done, so that's okay. Family formals, very simple. I've started doing for family formals almost all of them just from the waist up. To be honest, that's all people ever really want to order because it's so much cleaner to be able to put in a frame. This group was just... This was just not fun to try to shoot. As you can see, we weren't able to get everybody in shade. The parabolic just wasn't big enough. But you know, you do the best with what you got, I guess. It'll bug me, but you know, what are you gonna do? Whoops. Make that a little bit bigger. Cute little flower girl. And then a real cloud passed. Okay, that's pretty good. That's good, okay. I should have shot this a little lower. I don't know why I didn't, but that's okay. I think everybody was blinking in that shot. That one's okay. There we go. Guess I better make sure that's in focus. There we go. I also try really hard to get a nice formal of all the parents. That really is impressive to them. And I always ask them to kiss, and this is generally always the looks that I get. But it's just, you know, they really appreciate it, especially if they're active on Facebook. They'll show it to all their friends and family. It's something that the children will appreciate as the parents get older as well. It's just a really nice thing to do. And to be honest, it doesn't really take any extra time. I generally am the one that tells my clients how much time we'll be using for family formals. I'm really, really, really involved in the timeline planning. So I'll always add, unbeknownst to them, a certain amount of time to buffer what I'm doing so that I can make sure to get shots like that. I'm always at a loss of how to shoot the earrings because it's just always a whole lot of earlobe. I think I like this one better. This little munchkin loved the camera. Okay. I'm going to stop for a second and see. I see that there's more comments. I just want to make sure that nobody else needs help finding the screen share. What size parabolic umbrella do you use? From Casey. Hi, Casey! I have a 6-foot parabolic umbrella. it is ridiculously huge, and in most cases, if we weren't shooting at like noon, it would have cast a huge shadow. But you know, time of day really affects that. I don't use it a ton. I just got it, and I've mostly used it for casting shade, to be honest. But I've also used it a little bit for when I have to use my strobe in a dark church. How do you use it as in placement in relation to subject? If I'm using it as an umbrella for my flashes, obviously the bigger and closer the light source, the more flattering the light is. So if you can put it as close as possible to your subject and then adjust the lighting accordingly, that's going to be the most flattering. But like I said, at this point, I've mostly been using it just to cast shade on my subjects when needed. Mostly just because in most cases I can bounce my flash or use a smaller light source and I'm still okay. So we'll see what the year holds. Okay, so at this point we were getting ready for the ceremony. These shots I was just testing my lighting, making sure that I had my white balance correctly set, getting my timing down for the processional walk. Again, I used my husband to make sure of the lighting and the timing that I wanted. If you see the ceiling in any of these shots, let me see, maybe not. It was fluorescent lit. You can kind of see the light up here. So I was trying to see as my husband was walking where I would need to take a shot so that the above lighting wasn't blasting their faces downward. I was trying to shoot in between where the light sources were so that it would be a little bit softer and more flattering. I do overthink things just a little. Okay. So then I just moved into kind of casual shots of guests coming in. I had an hour to kill. Since the bride was already dressed and ready and all of that good stuff, they were just hanging out, getting a snack. When you're shooting under fluorescent, make sure that you are shooting at a shutter speed that will cycle with the fluorescent lights. So anything that is f60 or divisible by f60, obviously I don't really want to use f60 because everybody would be blurry, but if you use, say, like 120 or 240 or something like that, then when you take the shot you won't get those weird green and yellow bars in your photographs. That's caused by the fluorescence flickering. Doesn't look like it's in focus. Where's the face? There it is. Keep that one. Keep. Whoops. Oh, whoa. I moved my start menu. What did I do? Windows, stop trying to be helpful. Meryl has a question. Hello. I'm using PhotoMechanic. I will use Lightroom to eventually edit these images, but PhotoMechanic is much, much faster to cull the images in because it instantly shows a preview at 100%, so I can very quickly buzz through the images. I love, 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 love PhotoMechanic. buzzing through these ones pretty quickly. Just anything that looks kind of pleasant. It can be hard to know who is exactly close to the bride and groom. I try to get a lot of variety of pictures of guests because you never know who is most important in their lives, and also who might not be around forever. So a good variety is good. If I notice throughout the day that I've took way more pictures of a particular guest than someone else, I always go back and try to slim that down. You don't want to play favorites too much, but I try to get nearly everybody if possible. So here's the walk down. Long sigh because the lighting is not what I want, but that's okay. Sometimes you're just not in control of that. So I never use flash at a ceremony unless I absolutely have to. It's only ever been twice in all my history of doing weddings, and it was very specific circumstances, and the couple said that they did want me to light it, so I did, but check expressions. That's okay. That's okay. Aw, I like that smile. You can see here the difference between walking under the lights. So here's an in-between two lights. Here's underneath one of the lights directly. Again, here's in-between lights and in-between. So you can see the more harsh shadows there. It's just a little bit harder to edit in a flattering way. So I try to time that well. I mean, honestly, during the walk down, I'm really just firing like crazy because you never know, how quick an expression can change. I'll generally only keep one of the walk down images per grouping unless it's the bride. But a lot of times I will only cull down to one or two images just so that I have something to see what complements each other. That's a little better. I also have learned to shoot the groom as everybody else is coming down. Sometimes if we're being completely honest, first look or not, the groom will give a better smile to a groomsman that's giving him a funny look or something like that than he will for when the bride walks in. A lot of times that's just due to nervousness. Or just they're so excited to see the bride, they're just staring. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll keep an eye on on the groom as I'm shooting. And then later I will rearrange the pictures so that whatever his best smile is, I put it before the bride comes in. Because, I mean, if we're being honest, that's what she wants to see. And that's what she wants to remember the day like. And he was happy to see her. It's just, making sure you tell the story accurately doesn't always mean that you show the pictures accurately. In this case, though, the groom did smile the best for the bride. These pictures are pretty much the same. I'm going to keep that one. Beautiful. I'm hearing another thing here. Let me see if anybody asked another question. Aw. Well, Ashley, later when you watch this, you'll know that I said hi, so hi. Okay. Ceremony shots. I kind of like that one, though. There was kind of a little wall in the back that I could walk back through without the guests seeing me. So I did that for a couple of shots. Never, 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 never would I stand on the altar where guests could see me, obviously. That's just some bad juju right there. And that one's pretty well on focus. I try to keep an eye on different relatives, especially ones that are tearing up. It can be hard to catch stuff like that, but it's always nice to be able to do that. Kind of just going with my gut instinct on these, because to be honest, you can always shoot way more ceremony pictures than you need to. A lot of them are pretty similar, so I kind of like that one better. There we go. That's not in focus. What was that shot with? Yeah. I'm getting the feeling that my 70-200 might be missing focus. I try not to use it a lot of this wedding because I've been kind of suspecting it for a while, but it's looking like it's doing okay. So I guess I don't have to worry too much. I'll take it out and play with it. Just try it on a tree or something. Vows. Try to catch them with their mouth open, but in a flattering way, which is always a challenge. I think that one's a little more in focus. He was tearing up. Poor guy. And rings. This one, yep, better focus there. That's a funny picture, but I think it's a little bit more of an outtake than something I can actually use. There's a fine line between funny and should not be shown to anyone. I always try to get a picture of the speaker. Oftentimes the speaker is quite important to the bride and the groom, so it's nice to be able to do. Kiss, these are pretty much the same, but I feel like this one's a little better. I don't always even bother shooting the walk down. Most of the time they're walking so fast that it's not going to matter much anyway. But if I happen to get a really good shot of the bride and groom, a lot of times I'll use that. The couple had a receiving line, which I always tell my couples, receiving lines take an hour. I do that unless it's an intimate wedding. I do that because oftentimes I have seen them go up to an hour, and oftentimes if you don't give them an idea of what to plan for, they'll think that it only takes 10 minutes, and it really, really, really doesn't. On this day, there was about, I'd say about 180 people, and it took about 30 minutes, maybe a half hour, which is fine because Family Portraits was right after that, and that way we ended up with, you know, extra time for family formals and for bride and groom, which is really important. So just always try to factor in buffering time if you can. Like I said, I'm really, really involved with my couples, helping them plan the timeline and get everything together, because if you don't, they're just going to give you a timeline that makes no sense. And if you're the type of photographer that doesn't get involved and help them with that kind of thing, then you don't get to complain. If you're sitting there going, oh, they only gave me 30 minutes for all the pictures and the family formals and the bride and groom, well, then that's your own fault for not telling them that that's not happening. Which is not to say that you can always make all of the decisions. Sometimes it is just what it is, but you need to be really practical with your clients and telling them, look, you know, if you want me to do my job, I need X, Y, Z. Whether that means going back out after the reception or, you know, that means starting earlier or whatever. Just make sure that your clients' expectations are set, because if you don't have the time that you need, and they need to know that so that they are aware that there's going to have to be sacrifices. Thankfully, this day went very, very smooth. Doing the first look early in the day always really helps, and we just set up a lot of buffer time. I always make sure to plan for travel time to all the locations. That helps a lot as well. Do. It's a little difficult right here because I was trying to get both the bride and groom hugging people, but the bride was standing right where, right in front of where I needed to be to get the groom hugging anybody. So kind of tried to take it when I could get it, but mostly gonna be the bride, I guess, which is fine. Gotta do what you gotta do. That one's a little bit out of focus, but I really feel like Mom isn't going to be flattered by this picture, so I'm not going to keep it. That one's a little better. Do you like that shot? Totally accidentally took the shot of this back of this bridesmaid while I was moving my camera. It's pretty epic, I know. You only wish you could take photos like me. I think this one's better focus. Yep. Okay, so onward to the rest of the family formals. As you'll recall, we did a lot of those earlier in the day at the park, but there was also some that we wanted to do here at their ceremony location, mostly because there were some older folks that couldn't make it to the park. So my handy-dandy lighting assistant husband stood and let me meter off him for a while while I got my settings together here. The bride also modeled a little tiny bit for me. Okay, so finally resulting in this. Get some shots here of the siblings and with the officiant. Group shots. For these ones, I'm just gonna keep the ones that are in good focus. Is there a better one of that one? I always try to do a formal setup shot of the bride and the groom at the ceremony location. Typically that's appreciated. Although my lighting was a little bit shoddy there. Sorry, guys. They requested this shot. Quick bridal party shot, more formal. Ooh, I didn't have my depth of field set up very well though, did I? There we go. Okay. Metering. So I saw this little side table up against the wall by the bathrooms, and I decided that that's where they were going to sign their license, because they were going to do it on this counter that was kind of gross looking. So I pulled that out and got that all set up for them. Okay, this was for metering process, metering reasons as well, so that I could do a quick headshot of each member of the bridal party, which I generally like to do. So I'll just make sure that I get images that are in good focus, like that one. Oh, that one's a little better. Whoops, hey. If there's any couples at the wedding party, or if a member of the bridal party has their spouse or other with them, I always try to ask them if they want a shot together. Typically this is really, really appreciated, and it can result in a lot of good referrals, whether or not they're married, because they'll tell other people about you. In general, people are pretty self-serving in a good way. Like, we tend to remember and be more impressed by people who do something to improve our own personal lives. So if you can go out of your way to do something nice for a bridal party member, definitely do it. Even if you do a good job for the bride and groom, which is wonderful, and they will love that, they'll appreciate you more if you do something good for them. So... Okay, so reception, I was metering to get some lighting. There's my handy-dandy handsome assistant. I just did a really quick setup because they were anxious to come in. Unfortunately, the coat rack was right there, but there wasn't anything I could do about that. I set up my speed lights to bounce off the lovely white ceiling. That was just the right height to do so, and it worked out very well. This bridesmaid was kind of turtling a little bit. There we go. Oh, and, well, there's an example of if the speed lights didn't fire. Did fire, didn't fire. Pretty big difference. And... okay. Onward to the cake. The bride and groom pretty much just got right to the buffet and started to eat, so I was able to fend for myself for a little bit as far as pictures. While they were getting their food, I went over to the cake. As you can see, the cake was backlit and it was just really being just blown to bits. So I needed to come in and bring in some external lighting. So I metered to bring the cake down a little bit, as you can see, and then I brought in a speed light to be able to bring up the difference. So some of these shots I turned the speed light off just to be able to mentally picture what I was doing. This is ambient, and this is with adding a little bit of speed light. Ambient, speed light. Got some nice detail on the frosting. The mom of the bride had made this cake, so it was really important to be able to show it. The groom is allergic to gluten, so they had a gluten-free groom's cake. Kind of like that one better, I think. Well, keep that one. Or oh no, he's not allergic to gluten. He's vegan. Either way, due to food restrictions, they had some choices. Get the napkins here. Again, this is ambient, and this is with flash, just enough to kind of smooth it all out. Cake knives, the bane of my existence. Oh, PhotoMechanic's freaking out a little bit. There we go. Okay. I think I should be able to add some contrast to that one, so I'll keep it. Okay. So then I was onward to just general room shots. All of this was lighting. Actually, this is interesting to see too. So I had set up my flashes. I gelled them to match the ambient lighting, which was tungsten, so that it would be nice and warm. But also, I kind of did my little trick of I went over to a table and took a very blurry shot of it to be able to use as custom white balance so that I could be sure to get something closer to neutral. So as you can see, this is a little bit off, and this is more neutral after setting that white balance. Now, obviously, at this point of the day, most people are eating. So I tried to grab some other detail shots and stuff like that, but not really focusing on people at this point. I borrowed the rings from the couple to be able to do some shots. Nothing too crazy. Unfortunately, the bride's ring was a two-part ring that came apart into an engagement and then a wedding ring. So it was really hard to get a shot because in order to do any kind of balancing, it would immediately just fall apart. Because when it's sitting on your hand, it's fine, but you know, to hold it separately is harder. So I was kind of limited from that point of view, but it was okay. I found a really shiny gift on the gift table and just put the rings there. I really liked how that turns out. I like that one a lot. Oh, man. Alright, so at this point I was kind of just looking for guests that weren't occupied stuffing their faces. A wedding photographer I know once told me to listen for laughter because then you'll find some good genuine smiles, so I always try to keep that in mind when I'm shooting a reception. Wanted to get some good general room shots as well. Keep an eye on the parents. This is usually the time where they finally start relaxing. So it's good to be able to get them kind of laughing and smiling if indeed they are laughing and smiling. I feel like this one isn't in focus. Oh, that's okay. One more time for any more questions. Okay, we're looking good. So it's time to cut the cake after I managed to get some dinner as well. So I real quick ran over, started metering off of the people that were starting to gather for that. The bride and groom wanted to do a quick thank you to their guests before we did that, which was no problem. I just moved my flashes to face the other way. And ta-da! When the bride and groom are speaking to guests, I always try to include heads of guests so that there's context. I always direct the bride and groom to tell them where to stand and how to hold the knife because most people have not done this before. I always try to situate them in such a way that the guests can clearly see them, but that I also have a clear view without guests being able to step in the way. Because Lord knows everyone needs to gather around to get a shot of them cutting the cake for some reason. that one's out of focus. So I saw these two little kids sitting over here like this, and I went over and told the rest of the kids, "Why don't you sit out, look at the cake for me?" And they all sat and did that. Little kids are the best. So back to the party I went, looking around for people to shoot. I think I already got her. Get the little details. Try to keep an eye out on the bride and groom as they go around and talk to their guests, because I want to make sure to get some nice pictures of that. Gives good context. So at last it was time for the first dance. Sadly, it's always a little bit disappointing because it usually takes me a few dances to really get into my groove with lighting and get some really unique lighting going. Like, it's always going to look okay, but it's just, you know how it is. We're picky photographers. But so the father-daughter dance always looks better than the bride and groom dance. But that's okay. There's plenty of time. This is all bounced light. It was very, very nice in this reception location. As you can see, I have on this picture a flash in the background, just as high as my light stand will go, pointed up, angled into the ceiling. So here's a good example of what it looks like before and after. Before, after. Just kind of generally casting light everywhere. As you can see, I also have a flash on this table to be able to rim light the couple. And mother-son dances. They called up their family members during the middle of that dance so that everybody could join them, which made it a little bit more challenging. The dance floor was really, really tiny. And there was also a helpful relative who was recording, who unfortunately was not super aware of where I was, but we're used to that. It's alright. Father-daughter dance. And then there was a general couples dance. Again, very challenging to try to get any pictures in there. It was a little bit crowded. I had my stool with me, so I kind of used that as much as possible. Ay. I was just not catching a lot of them, though. There we go. And then it was open dancing. Focus, yes it is. I try to be super conscious of not just following the babies around all day, because I totally could. But then I end up with like a bazillion shots of babies and nobody else, so I'm trying to be better about that. I only need one shot of each baby. Here's a couple shots of me. One of my friends was also at the wedding and attempted to take my camera and take a picture. It's just a little bit out of focus. It's always kind of fun shooting friends' weddings because you can be a little bit more free with it. Kind of dance and hang out a little bit. So these were some shots that she took. Until right about there. Bride and her sister. This was one of my bride and grooms from 2012. Nope, I like that one a little better. The Cupid Shuffle. The Cupid Shuffle. Deep, 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 deep. Just breezing through these pretty fast. Thankfully, this part of the night is always a little bit easier as far as editing, just because, or culling, I should say, just because the lighting is all, you know, pretty much exactly the same. Just a matter of making sure it's in focus, making sure the composition is good, all that kind of stuff. That was an experiment that didn't work out well. This was also an experiment to try to get a silhouette of the room with just a little bit of context to it. So we'll see how it looks once I play around with it. Gotta try new things. I broke my one picture per baby rule, but shh, don't tell anybody. I think the second one is more in focus. Oh, I guess they're both in focus. Okay. I like that one. Again, me. Somebody stole my camera. There we go. Oh, good times. That's good times right there. This is what Gangnam Style does to 8-year-old boys. I was trying some freelancing here. Didn't work out very well, but that was alright. I was just playing around with it. Oh, out of focus. Pain of my existence. Getting toward the end of the night here. My scheduled time to leave came and went. I usually stay a little later, especially when it's somebody I know personally, but generally I always plan to stay an hour later, so even for regular clients. I found that extra hour really is a big thing to them, and it doesn't really mean much to me as far as, you know, it's not that much work. I'm already there. And I love dance floor shooting. I don't know. I like the action of it and the challenge of trying to catch what's going on and everything. I always try to get a nice headshot for the DJ. If he brings his significant other, I try to bring that, get a picture of that person too at the end of the night. So now we've been through everything. Now that everything has a star rating on it, I'm going to sort by rating and select all the 1-star images. I'm going to add in the raw folder a rejected folder, and that's going to go in there. Let's see if I have any more questions. Nope. So PhotoMechanic has finished sorting all of them. So now I'm done in PhotoMechanic. I'm going to close that and bring up Lightroom. I do a separate Lightroom catalog for each wedding because I find it easier and a lot faster to function that way. That way I can also separately store the catalog in all of the multiple places that I save this particular wedding. So I'll have not only the wedding but also the catalog saved on multiple drives. I don't add the images to Lightroom until after I cull them. So I'm going to do that now. Import to this folder. I guess I could have just synchronized the folder. That might have been good. I guess I'll do that. I already had done their engagement session, so I have that here. So I'm just going to right-click and hit synchronize, that it will automatically find and import photographs. And of course I'll check Facebook in between, because that's what we do. It's going to take a little while to import, and I don't think I can pause this what is it called? Google Hangouts. So I guess I'll just go with it. You'll see rehearsal pop up here. I do take a few images at the rehearsal, but more just for my own lighting reasons. I don't deliver them to my couples, and my couples know that. I tell them outright that They won't be getting pictures from the rehearsal. It's just for me to be able to go and see how everything's going to go down and meet everybody and figure out where I want to stand and all of that. If I've shot at a place 100 times, I'm not going to worry about it, but a lot of the places I've been shooting lately are brand new to me, so I really like to be able to go to the rehearsal, especially for church weddings. It helps me to be able to get to know the minister, the person in charge, so that there's no surprises as far as what's allowed and not allowed. This part always takes forever. Typically I would be going to do something else, but since there's people watching, I can't just, like, you know, hang out and check Facebook or watch a movie. So I guess I will just jump in and edit a few images. I don't think I'm going to last through editing this whole wedding. My voice is starting to give out a little bit. But I'll just edit a few real quick to show you my process. If it'll allow me to do it while it's still importing. I don't generally do this, but we'll see. So this is one of the more lighting difficult, see, this is why I need to take a break. One of the more difficult lighting situations I faced this day. In my develop tools in Lightroom 5, I am going under basic, and I'm going to make some adjustments. So this is the white balance selector. If I use it, I can tell Lightroom what should be white, which is not that. So there's that in comparison to how it was shot. It's a little bit better. Generally, I like to have manual control over it because I like it to look a very particular way. I'm going to bring down the highlights a little bit to kind of preserve, whoops, that would be blacks, to kind of preserve what was lost in the dress. I generally lift the contrast and clarity. Under HSL, which is a great hidden tool in Lightroom almost, you can individually change the saturation, the hue, and the luminance of any particular color. So for example, there's a lot of places where the bride's dress looks blue. In Photoshop, that would mean a lot of selecting or dodging and burning with color or stuff like that. But with Photoshop, I can just come in and say, yeah, see all the blue? I don't want it to be there. And it's gone. Now obviously that doesn't work if the groom has like a blue tie or, you know, a blue suit or something, because it's going to drain all the blue there as well. But there's other tools in Lightroom you can use that for that particular kind of situation. For now, for this particular shot, it's the perfect tool to use. I'm also going to brighten the orange and especially the reds on their faces because there's a lot of acne here. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, but wherever there's acne, lifting the reds and the oranges will help to care for that. So for example, if I darken them, these are all the places that get lightened. I can also go into the hue tool, and if I click this little doohickey here, I can click and drag on the skin to change everything that my mouse is touching. Obviously that's not what I want. But for example, this area over here looks a little bit funky. So I'm going to make it a little bit different there. If you notice too, the shadows are doing strange things to our bride's teeth and making them look a little bit yellow. So I'm going to use the adjustment brush tool, which is up at the top here, to drop the white balance on just the one part of her teeth that looks a little more yellow. Ta-da! Alright, so it's looking good so far. Again, the lighting is not ideal, but I knew that going into this shot. I'm going to use the adjustment brush to bring down the highlights on the sidewalk just a little bit more. And I'll use the auto mask on the erase to just erase, whoops, the pant leg. So Lightroom is automatically drawing the lines for me, so I don't have to be careful at all. There we go. Maybe not quite that much, but just a little tiny bit. So that looks okay. I'm going to soften, darken this a little bit, just a little bit. Alright, that looks pretty good. So compared to the original and after, it's okay. Not my favorite shot, but it works. Let's take a look at this image. Okay, so immediately I see the bride is a little bit too bright. She was on the side facing the sun a little bit more. So I'm going to grab the adjustment brush and bring her down a little bit. Whoa, that's way too much. Don't worry, guys, I'm going to fix it. There we go. You can also see that she's not as warm as he is. I'm going to warm up her skin. And I just need to warm that top part of her face. Just a little bit. Maybe not quite that much. This one I'm going to erase right here just a squidge. There we go. And now the chest is a little too dark. There we go. Okay, again, I'm going to get rid of those blues and lighten the blues a little bit. This is a little too dark up in here. There we go. I'm also going to darken her cheek just a little bit. That's just bugging me a little. And maybe just a little bit more yellow there. Cool. Again, the teeth, I'm going to lighten just a little squidge. Drop down the feathering. You don't want to do it so much that it doesn't look natural. Everybody's teeth in general are a little bit yellow, and that's fine. But generally, you want them all to be fairly close to the same color. So, by just a few seconds of attention, that can be helped a little bit. I'm going to lighten the inside here. It's a little bit too much. Cool. I like it. There's still something that bugs me a little bit. I think it's something in the neck area. That's not it. What's going on down here? Okay. And down the greens a little bit. Bring up the reds. Add a little bit more contrast. Alright, in comparison, the original, the final. Now the nice thing about Lightroom specifically is that you can carry over changes that you've made from one image to the next. So, for example, because this one is extremely similar to this one in lighting, I can hit Shift-Control-S, and I don't want to carry over the brush because it would paint the wrong areas, and some other things. So when I hit Synchronize, this one will have the same settings carried over. Now, obviously, she's still quite blue compared to him, so we're still going to need to fix that. Whoa, that's super orange. Fake tan, y'all. There. That's a little better. Beautiful. Maybe a little bit of brightening in here. Alright. Again, with this image, I can carry over what I did to this image by synchronizing. let's jump somewhere else here. Let's give this one a try. So, add some changes here to the shadows. I'm gonna bring down the well, maybe I'll bring down the whites. Nope. Highlights. There we go. Contrast. Curves. Bring up the orange and mostly the reds. I'm gonna bring down the blues. Oops, that would be purple. Whoa, hell! Alright, now this is a situation where I don't want to bring down the saturation of the blues because I have the sky here and it's actually looking pretty nice. So what I'm going to do instead is use the adjustment brush to bring down the saturation on the white parts of the suit. I'm going to use auto mask so that Lightroom will draw it in for me. It doesn't need to be too exact because all we're doing here is just kind of reducing the blues. Whoop. Lightroom's trying to be helpful. Oh, it's okay, I'll clean it up after. There we go. That's a lot better. By comparison, here's with it off, here's with it on. Just real subtle, but it's a lot nicer that way. I can also lift the shadows under the one groomsman eyes. Just a wee little bit, because he has deep set eyes. There we go. Again, by comparison, before and after. And I can do that with a whole bunch of images here, so that those are pretty much set. Let's try... How about one from the ceremony? How about... how about this one? Alright, so immediately apparent is I need to bring down the highlights. It's a little too orange, bring that down. Woo! The bride was sitting closer to a light source than the groom was. The light was actually directly to her, over her left shoulder. So she is a little bit brighter than he is. I'm just going to bring her down just a squidge. That's a little better. And then I'm going to go into the HSL and lift the appropriate colors. I don't think there's really any blue to take out this particular shot. Put a little curve into the tone curve. Cool. So, before and after. Let's try something else here. How about the headshot? So I have two images. I know I'm only going to keep one of them. Let me look real fast. I like the cropping on this one better, but she has a more genuine smile here. So let me see if I can crop this one in a little bit. Yeah, I think this is going to be better. I'm going to lighten it a little bit, but to be honest, the chest is pretty much as light as I want to go. So I'm going to use my adjustment brush to just lift this top part with exposure just a little bit. There we go. Beautiful. All of these were taken in exactly the same lighting, so I'm going to go ahead and select all of, whoops, or not. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of them, and then carry over the changes that I made. So in theory, all of the headshots should look pretty much exactly the same. Yep, looks good. Let's see, how about that cake knife shot? So the key to this is really to nail the contrast without making it look too crazy on the actual cake. Because if I just blatantly increase the contrast, that's obviously not going to look great. But I need to show the contrast in the knife. Larg! I'm going to increase the contrast and the clarity using the adjustment brush just on this section. Well, to be honest, I think that's as good as it's going to get. And I'm going to carry over those settings. I also see quite a bit of vision editing on this one, so I'm going to go to Lens Corrections and let Lightroom take care of that for me. Alright, so how about a dancing shot to wrap it up? This one's good. This one's pretty close to being good right out of the bag. She's a little bit brighter than he is, but that's okay. She was right by the flash. We'll add some more clarity there. Brighten up Dad's face. She's looking a little purple compared to him, so I'm going to add a little bit more color over here. Beautiful. And then just bring down the yellows in the teeth. Probably the greens too. There we go. Maybe a little bit right there. Very nice. Alright, so I'm going to take a break for the night. And I hope it was helpful to anybody who is watching now or watching later.